don't know if is my microphone on at all.
Yo,
Yo.
what's up, dude?
What up? This was literally like I was trying to do like look Google Forums and I was like no, but then I saw that you could add a phone camera because it would. The issue on here is it would say you have to go live for 25 more minutes to unlock camera access, and then it said you um, can't go live without adding a camera. So
Oh, that's annoying.
I was like, huh? So yeah.
That's really lame, but I mean, hey, at least we're on.
But the great news is we can so like I can add the actual episode on here to display. So whenever we want to do our commentary, we can
Let's
just stream
go.
that on here and talk as it plays through. So hopefully here soon we can do all that and yeah.
Hey guys.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's pretty cool. Throwing this earbud in.
Yeah.
Um,
So moral of the story, I need to go live for 27 more minutes.
when are you wanting to do that commentary stream?
That's a great question. Um, I mean, depending on availability, maybe like early next week or something. Um,
Nice.
and then I think on there we can give an official drop date probably for episode 4.
Hell yeah.
So,
So for those asking in the chat when episode 4 is coming, you'll know next week.
so join the live.
Uh,
In the meantime,
does anybody have any questions over episode 3? I mean, we might be able to do some comment, like some question answering while we're sitting here. Might
yeah.
as well. Hello, Lauren. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, here's one. Best
Can't
part
wait to be
about
back up
filming
there.
episodes. You can go first.
Uh, I think the biggest joy for me in doing this project, I mean, I love playing the character. I love all the stuff that goes into it, but being able to make this series with my friends and family and those that I love has just been immaculate. That's really interesting. I didn't know you could change the layout. Um, but yeah, I think being able to do this series with my loved ones, Noah, Stony, Steven, Nick, Johan, Jacob, like all friends and family. So it's been super incredible to be able to do this with people that I love. That's probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
What about you, Noah?
Yeah, it's so fun. Obviously, it's like a ton of work, but obviously, like seeing it all come together is just so hype. Like, you know, like concept to reality is crazy, but in terms of like actually
Hmm.
filming, I just think it's literally just we're just hanging out, having a great time, and like I think
Yeah.
everybody like I think the dynamics that already exist outside of the characters makes everything a million times better. Like everybody's super comfortable with each other and it's just a very like you there's no like hesitation when it comes to presenting new ideas because of that yep, comfort between the cast and the crew, and so it's just super sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the so I actually rewatched all 3 episodes today, just in a row, just to see how they play together because we're gonna have the supercut at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it goes together so well.
Yeah.
Like the tone, the cinematography. I was really worried about my voice because I don't normally talk the way Jason talks. Um, I drop it an octave, and so I was like, I wonder if it's going to be consistent or not. I'm sure that there were some like audio bits that I sent to you where you were like, yeah, you don't really quite sound like you're supposed to,
No,
but
it's great.
it all came together so good.
There's a moment where you're doing the interrogation with Black Mask, and you like your act, like the accent you put on was so strong right there. You're like, I took away your ability to walk or to run away, potentially walk at all. Like it was so
Oh,
like, but it worked because it's like all set in Jersey, But like, I was
Yeah.
just like, there's moments like that where I'm like, whoa, like Red Hood Jersey accents coming through, which is so funny.
Yeah.
You definitely, but the thing is, it sounds like, it literally sounds like American Psycho Christian Bale too, which just makes
Let's
the
go.
references that you look like Christian Bale even funnier.
Yeah. It's like, who does he think he is, in that movie? No, I'm, Patrick Bateman. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm Patrick Bateman. That type of thing. I love it.
Hmm. Um,
Uh,
but the thing, um, I edited the first two episodes to like a while back to do like supercut flow. And so I like flowed them together so the audio transition and everything. I mean, it was mostly just like episode slight audio
mhm.
join, but I'm like literally episode 3 directly is already directly at the end of episode 2. So I'm like, that flow is
Yeah.
just insane. And then the stark contrast between episode 3 and the way episode 4 opens is gonna be like, what?
Oh, I'm so excited. Somebody asked, well, Autumn said, I just found your series and I love it. Thank you so much. We love you. Abby said, when you all started, do you expect this project to end up this big? Um, I'm gonna let you go first on that.
I mean, I think the wish was for it to always, because it's like if we wanted to. Okay, so to start, very very start, not to this caliber. Like when we wrote it, it was just like more of like a short, like probably like 3 episode thing, and the episodes were totally different. And it was more just like we're gonna do this for fun. And then when we came back to do it, it was a little bit more serious. So I think with that, it was like um, we need to, in order to reach the level we want, we're gonna have to get the attention it needs to be able to. I mean, realistically, unless like one person came through and funded the whole series, it's like there's kind of an expectation where like in order to do it, we have to reach a certain like level of clout, otherwise it just won't happen. So there
Yeah.
was kind of like an underlying expectation, but it is just so crazy. Like waking up and seeing these like edits or fan arts, it's just like, yo, we actually have fans of like what we've created, and that is so crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think initially it was like, let's just film some cool stuff because I know like I wanted to do superhero movies, and it was more so for me to like have a reel, like an action reel that I could use. And then like with the characters that we enjoy, you know. But then after we put together the promo material and then started gearing up to shoot episode 1 again, and then especially when I saw the footage from episode 1, I was like, okay, this could definitely do something. And then now that James Gunn has been put in charge of DC and they're kind of rebooting everything, that was kind of the point where I was like, oh shit, like this could actually do something pretty crazy, and go beyond the YouTube sphere eventually, you know. But yeah, at first it was just like having fun with the homies, and then getting some real footage. But then it eventually turned into something more. Has been quite the journey though.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, and I think we talked about this too, where when we filmed episode 1, it was like, okay, if nothing else happens outside of this, we made a really cool short Jason Todd
Yeah,
origin story. And so it was just like there's always been that like, oh, like things might happen and never might get finished. Now it's like there's that determination where like, yo, we've already filmed part of episode 6. Like this is happening now. It's just a
yeah,
matter of when. Um, and yeah, so it's been crazy to see the growth, and just see like there was one edit where it was just like just the text, and it was just like, you know you're watching episode 4 and all that happens, and just like the amount of likes I got it, and I'm like, oh snap, like this many people have watched to like relate to
yeah,
this
yeah. There
literally
was,
like TikTok video right now, and I'm like, that's crazy. And like I'll see people that don't even follow us on TikTok mention about Red Hood Resurrection, and then somebody else will tag us in the video. So I'm like, there's people that don't even like know us from here where we have our biggest following. They just know us from like YouTube or other places, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
Yeah, there was one video that Jinx put out that I think now has like over 20,000 likes or something. And so it's got a ton of views. And I was looking and like all these different comments about like, oh, when that happened, it like broke my heart. It's about like the final moment in episode 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like this many people have seen it, like and have this shared experience. So it is cool. Um, but yeah, let me see. Let me
There
see.
was
I know
one
that a lot of questions have
there.
been coming
Yeah,
through.
I'm gonna answer one about the props and costumes. So originally everything was printed with just PLA, and then we quickly learned that for ease and stuff. So the PLA is pretty rigid. It definitely like sanded the best and looked the cleanest. But I used this time around for episode 3 filming. Everything was printed with TPU for flexibility. So David's face mask was TPU. So because the last time it was like really like it gashed his nose and stuff, and it's just very firm. Whereas this one's flexible and a little bit more comfortable. And then same with all the like suit armor, all that stuff was printed in advance because there's so flexible. So there's no way they could have done it in a different material.
Yeah.
So
Well, the when I gashed my nose, it was partially when I got hit in episode 2 when I got punched, but it didn't really do much. It was really whenever I like tackled Steven when he's got like the
hmm,
little submachine gun or whatever, and I tackled him and the mask just pressed up into my nose and just gashed it. Um, but then I was like, yeah, we should start using a different material.
yeah,
But I mean, it works so well. I actually think that the new material looks better too on camera. Like it looks more like form fitted as opposed to like just put on my face. You know what I mean?
right, yeah, because the
Um,
stretch like molded
yeah,
it with the elastic. Yeah, um,
yeah.
yeah. There was another one I wanted to answer too. Um, does
I
Cass read
know. So, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Does Cass read comments of TikTok? All comments, especially funny, spicy. Yeah. We actually, when we were filming in this last block, when the nights like before we were filming in our Airbnb, we were all together and we were going through and reading all the crazy comments that were there. We were watching the edits and just going through the crazy comments that people have left. And you guys need to touch
Yeah,
some grass. Goodness gracious.
a large touching grass is crazy. A large part of that, like going through the edits and stuff in the comments, was we had told Nick about sort of what the experience had been like with the fan response, and we were like just preparing him because he's got some scenes without a shirt. He's a good looking guy. And I was like, there are going to be edits of you, and people are going to be saying some very out of pocket stuff. Um, It's like what? And so we just went through and looked at all these different edits and stuff, and the edits were sick. And then we went through the comments, and even his like Nightwing casting post, where it's literally just his photo. People were like, "Oh Lord, gnawing at the bars of my enclosure" and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, this is what you gotta expect. But we know our fans. We love our fans. We just wanted to prepare Nick for our fans. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How did we come up with the costume design? We know, well, with Jason's, um, there were a couple different ways. So, in terms of like, let's think practically, and a lot of people were like, "Why didn't you give him the helmet? Why didn't you give him the helmet?" But we're thinking like, we want as little like suspension of reality as possible. So we're thinking,
mhm.
okay, Jason comes into Gotham with zero resources. He just trained with the League. So all he's got is his freaking sword, his like personal belongings, his League mask. Um, and so that was our way of to like connecting. It's like, oh, he's literally just repurposing this mask he got from training for his costume, and that look happens to work with that very iconic Jason look. And so it's like it makes sense. It doesn't make sense for him to have all this tech equipment, because especially with we're seeing like very early stages, he hasn't worked through, like he hasn't reached the level, which you will see him reach the level of having the helmet in the series, but it's like this is like true origin. This is his first time he's like
Yeah.
really going out and hitting people, because he's obviously done some like work in Gotham, as we can see. Like he's branched out, he's done some investigating, but this is his first time where it's like, you know, with episode 2 and 3 taking place in the same night, this is the first like big hit he's doing against crime in Gotham.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to be honest, the Red Hood and the Outlaws costume is my favorite Jason costume. And so I remember like when we were discussing costume designs and stuff, that was one of the ones that I was like also pushing for because I was like, dude, this would be so sick, and like, it kind of fits with where he's at, and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I think having like a sort of more drawn back, low key approach, more like relying on slim resources, things like that, makes a lot more sense. So yeah, it just kind of came together perfectly. But it's my favorite Jason Todd look in the comics. So I was happy to be able to start with that one. Obviously we're gonna have the helmet at some point, the leather jacket, all of it. But yeah, it's that's in my heart. That's the Red Hood.
Yeah, and like you'll see, like we give a full origin on every element of his costume, and like yeah, like he's. I saw a comment saying I love it because he's literally wearing a red hood, and it's like yeah. So like in a promo we did where it's, a goon talking to Black Mask, he's like, "Who is it?" And he's like, "Some dude wearing a red hood." Like,
Yeah.
so it's like what he's referred to as quite literally is like what he looks like. And so it
Yeah.
just in every aspect it makes the most sense, and it looks sick. Like that look is just great. And like we're able to show off David's physique more, because I mean it's just like when we get to the final look, it's just armor and like the
Yeah.
standard look. It's like obviously you're going to look even more big because of all that, but it's like seeing just like showing literally that like nah, Jason's just a tank off rip. Like have to. I'm sorry, David's a tank off
Yeah.
rip.
No, I appreciate it, bro. Wild Ride 45 said, "What is your favorite part about acting as Jason?" I just honestly that he's a really interesting character. Like he's a character that forces the audience to look at the blurred line between good and evil, and what the right thing to do is sometimes. Like the it's a genuine problem, morally, that the Joker keeps getting out of Arkham and killing more people, you know? Because it's like, okay, well, on one hand, shouldn't kill people. On the other hand, maybe you should kill this guy because if you don't, he's just going to get out of Arkham again and he's going to kill more people. So it's I just love the aspect of his character that kind of forces us to ask those kinds of questions, like, okay, what really is the right thing to do here? What is the best approach? Is Batman's code actually effective? Um, is there a time when you should cross that line, when you shouldn't cross the line? Things like that. So I like exploring those dynamics, and kind of going on this journey with him, where especially at the end of episode 3, you can kind of see where he's been out mentally throughout this whole process and sort of taking it out on everybody. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah. I want to answer this one. Who choreographs the fight scenes? It's like a conglomerate. It's hard because none of us live together, so we are like trying to like sort it out. We have literally a group chat where we send each other ideas for the combat and like different
Hmm.
fights we know having come up. And like I had it mapped out, and then we show up to the location, and it was entirely different than what we expected. So we scrapped that pretty much entirely, and we were there, literally there for like a 30-minute preview the day before we were filming, and we're like, David and I were like, okay, how can we make this work? So we literally, I did like a walkthrough with my phone, and we sorted out in that 30 minutes the flow of the whole like long take fight scene. And so I have literally the videos of just me and David walking through and mapping out that whole fight scene. Now, in terms of the actual like details. This is what's even crazier. It's like every individual kill we didn't know until we had the people there. We weren't sure exactly how many people we would have for that fight scene and everything. So a lot of it was like, it was like we did it in blocks, and we literally did the fight choreography as we went. We like planned it out. It's
Yeah.
like, here's what we know, the space we know we want to use. And it's like, okay, there's the elevator. We definitely have to do the elevator scene. And I'm pretty sure the elevator, we like, as we were leaving the space, it was like, oh shit, there's an elevator right there.
Hmm.
Does this work? Can we use this? And so we like literally mapped that out. It was crazy how we were like, okay, here's how we're gonna make it work. And so in the like 9 hours we were filming there, we went from like knowing the general idea of the space to choreographing the whole 6 minute fight scene and filming.
Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy. But when we have
What's
more
up, Maddie?
time and have the people, we are able to do it a little bit better. Like at the
Yeah.
Airbnb, we mapped out ahead of time. Still when we were just together, so like 2 days before filming, we mapped out the like Red Hood Robin fight scene, and then like the day of or the day before. I don't know when you guys started. I didn't have any part really other than giving small feedback for spatially for the Nightwing
Hmm.
and Red Hood
Yeah.
fight.
No. Whenever you were filming, like that morning, I think you had the a lot of the like Johan and Nick stuff, so like the Robin and Nightwing stuff, that we can't spoil. But that while you guys were filming that, I was literally outside in your hallway walking through choreography in my head, like, okay, now here, do this, and then the back fist, and then what is he gonna do there? Okay, the front, like, and then I got to have, I practiced it on Stony, worked out some kinks, then finally practiced it on Steven, worked out some more kinks, practiced it on Johan whenever Nick had his individual coverage, and then eventually got to work on it with Nick. So it was like while you guys were doing your stuff, I was choreographing the Nightwing stuff. But a lot of the stuff that we did though, like Noah said, was kind of, it had to be mapped out like that day or like even once we got to set because unfortunately we don't have a big enough budget to really know exactly what our space is going to be super early in advance. So yeah, it was crazy, but luckily we had Eric, Nick, a couple other guys on set that are like actual badass martial artists who could help us with stuff, um, which really sped up the process. Just them feeding us ideas and stuff. So yeah, it was cool, but it was a little scary knowing like we only have this space for one day. We have to get this,
Yeah.
and we have next to nothing mapped out.
Yeah. And I like went through, I was actually looking today through like the behind the scenes footage that people were recording the whole time, like on the actual camera. And so there's just so much more behind the scenes this time. Like obviously it, when I do it, I'll add the video of like David and I walking through the space, and then there's behind the scenes of us actually filming the hallway scene, and there's like a few long takes of them, the part where the David's like fighting the Irish and then the Russian dude. Like
Hmm.
pretty much the entirety of them building out that fight scene is we all got on behind the scenes, and
Oh,
so
that's
it's
cool.
so cool to see. There's a part where he's literally just like holding you in that pose midair for like
Yeah,
10
yeah.
seconds, and he's like, I can hold you like this all day, you just gotta help me.
It's
uh
like I can literally do this all day. I'm like, I'm just floating.
Yeah,
Like,
and
yeah.
like we have the whole like behind the scenes mapping out of like the Nightwing fight too, and like Robin at our Airbnb, and David just mentioned this too, and like literally there was like, we were like by the lake in a small town for filming where the like hallway scene was and stuff, and just like a tractor rolled by. Oh, this is a
Hmm.
fun tidbit of information. They on our way to film the like or the stairwell scene, um, where Red Hood's chasing Black Mask down the stairs, they got stopped by the police.
Yeah.
I'll let you tell this because I wasn't there. I just pulled up and I see someone pulled over right by where we're filming, and I was like, "What? I hope that's not them."
Yeah. So um, we were driving to like right by the courthouse in that town, which is like right by the police station. And Steven, my cousin, who was our first AD, I guess he forgot to turn on, like, so he had his like low beams on, but I guess he forgot to switch his lights all the way on, so his like tag light wasn't on, and then his like regular headlights weren't on, and so he drove past a cop and they saw it. We got pulled over. It was literally just because they didn't switch it over. But they pull us over and they're like, "What are you guys up to tonight?" Because like I'm in full costume essentially, with like no like fake guns or anything, but like tactical
Yeah,
gear all
thankfully all that
over.
stuff was in my car in bins.
Yeah, and so, but whenever we got pulled over, Steven rolls down the window, gives him an ID. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" I'm like, "We're actually filming a TV show." He's like, "Oh, what TV show?" He goes, "Well, it's kind of a fan-made series, but are you familiar with like the Red Hood from DC?" He's like you like the Red Hood? He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He's like, "Yeah, like the Red Hood from DC." He's like, "Yeah, I'm familiar. I love the Red Hood." He's like, "Oh, well, that's what we're filming right now. We're doing it's like a fan series. They've got like 20,000 TikTok followers. They're really building this up. Like we're filming this series right now." He looks and he goes, "Are you Red Hood?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm Red Hood, dude." And then like the lady police officer was next to me. She goes, what do you got on? You got any weapons on?" I was like, "No, no, no, just tactical gear, just all pretend stuff." But they were super cool. And then he was like, "Is that on Facebook?" He's like, "No, it's on YouTube." But they got the YouTube link and everything. And so I think the police department in Forsyth is probably watching the Red Hood series now,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. But yeah, it was. I was super nervous because I mean, Steven is he's a security guard, and so like he carries all the time. And then I have all this like these straps and gun holsters and like a sword holster on my back, and like I'm bruised up and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, they're going to think we're either psychos or we're going to commit a crime. But it's actually
Yeah.
turned out pretty cool.
Yeah,
Turned out pretty
and
cool.
this was like right by the like GBC building is that courthouse, so
Yeah.
it's like we were right there, right out front, and they were pulled over. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, yeah, um, there was a few more questions I want to answer. I'm almost at my 30 minutes, and I have to leave soon. But this is great, and this is like why I wanted to get my live up and running so we could do this more often. But let's see.
Brass knuckles, scary.
Um,
It's a good line.
How do you make the end look so realistic? Oh, and this was another one I saw. How did Nick get stabbed? So, I mean,
That's my fault.
we have two swords, right? We have the actual one, and then did we use the half one for that? I think we did for the actual
Mm-mm.
like we didn't.
No,
Okay, so
no, because remember it got stuck in the side of his compression
right,
shirt when I
right,
actually stabbed him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure for like the side angle if we had switched. So no, so we just had the prop sword, and it's like prop obviously, but it's like a very hard durable plastic, and it's like still a
Yeah.
pointed end. And so rather than like it was the I think it was the clip, if I'm remembering correctly, the one where it's like punch punch, where he's like punch 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 punch, and he falls down. um it was a continuation of that clip because for the most part during fight scenes I like to run it until it like goes bad, because it's like the longer the take, the fewer times we have to do it. So we just kept going, and I like was tracking, and he stabs him, and maybe I'll put this in the bloopers and behind the scenes, but he stabs with like full force with this, and rather than it going off to the side, it jabs into Nick's side with like a full swing. And yeah, we gave him a second to catch his breath.
Yeah. It was so unfortunate too because we had filmed the whole like the office building fight scene, um, Robin versus Red Hood, and Black Mask versus Red Hood by that point,
Yeah.
and no incidents. The closest thing to it is when I do that overhand stab to Nick, the Russian guy. He my hands kind of went through his guard and like hit him in the side of the head, but it was like nothing, but no incidents the whole time. And then I hit Nick in the nose with the butt of the sword in that moment where we clash, and then I go
Oh
like that.
yeah,
His face came
I
forward as
forgot
that went
about
in,
that.
and it hit him in the nose. Yep. And then we were running through choreography, and it's supposed to be right, left, body, uppercut, spinning back kick. I went right, left, uppercut. And so he's like anticipating body. So he's going here, and I'm going up, and I got him right in the chin. Um, and then I this one was intentional. Like he's wearing this like really thick like what is that material again, Noah?
Uh, it's like TPU, yeah, like rubber
TPU.
filament, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like padding. So like you can get hit with it and you feel fine.
Yeah.
But the like I pay homage to Christian Bale as much as I can in these. But I did like the little side, double punch thing. I hit him in the chest with that. That one was intentional, but like, again, it's fine. Um, and then the final thing was when I went to stab him, we did it like 3 times before this too. And it was just too far off to the side. Like it just didn't look good. And I could feel that. And so I was like, I'll go a little bit closer, but like obviously don't want to stab him. And it got him like right here, like right underneath his rib. And there's like big bruise there and everything. But he let out this yelp. And I remember afterwards, um, Stoney was like, dude, that was some great acting, bro. And it wasn't acting, dude. He like actually like he was like, oh, and I was like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I mean, it played well. Nick is a fantastic actor, and he's super gracious. Afterwards, he was like, "You're never touching me again. All right, I don't trust you." And I was like, "I get it." But yeah, it was like working with somebody like him who's so willing to try different things, and like whenever things go wrong, he's so gracious, and also just a phenomenal actor, as you guys will see in this next episode. Um, it was such a pleasure for me, and I felt so bad because I hit him like 4 separate times. But yeah, occupational hazard.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, no, the fight scenes really stepped it up. And then for the like we scratched that itch, and then just for context, episode 4 is a full episode of just dialogue. And so it's like we're showing that like epic side of the story, and then we're really we're putting salt in that wound for sure in episode 4.
Yeah,
So I can't wait for everybody to see that.
the opening scene is gonna break some people's hearts, dude.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, with the echo, it just goes.
In the
Yeah.
Oh, dude, let's go.
And
Have you seen what it looks like digitally rendered in, like the back part?
that I haven't done. I have everything pieced together, and I'm just gonna drop that in after. Um,
I'm so excited.
but yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be
So,
great. You guys are not ready, but it's gonna be amazing. Maddie is asking episode 4 when.
um, should know next week. Very soon. It's like nearly done. Is what I'll say. It just needs a little bit more TLC to get it right. So, um,
Yeah.
but that
Well,
one's
keep
gonna
in mind
sting.
too, guys. Noah has like he does this professionally, but this project is not necessarily paying his bills. All right. So that's something people got to realize too is like Noah's got other projects he's working on that actually are paying him that he needs to prioritize. Um, but as far as I understand it, it's basically just sound design and then some like color correction and very slight CGI stuff.
Yeah.
So we're almost there. Just hold out until the announcement. I believe we have a promo coming out soon that
Hmm.
people are gonna love
Today, yeah, promo dropping tonight.
today. So
Um,
that's gonna be exciting, my boy Stony. Oh,
yeah.
so
Um,
stoked.
and yeah, no, the behind the scenes, I'm super stoked to put that out because it's super cool. I definitely also I plan to do a breakdown on the visual effects in this one because there is so much stuff that you don't even know was done to it that was done to it, and just like it's crazy, like a lot of visual effects, like very very small minute things that all build up, and the whole thing is like the number one thing with editing is like you don't notice it, and that's the goal. But
Yeah,
if it was there, you would be like, if it was or wasn't there, depending on the instance, it would be like, huh? So
yeah.
there's actually a ton of VFX in episode 3, which took forever, and a ton of sound design. There's literally so many instances where there's like 20 plus audio files happening at the same time. Um, and so it's just like crazy, crazy.
Um, Vin was asking, are the other episodes coming out in August? No. So episode 5, we still have a pretty big um, fight sequence we have to record for that, which we're hoping, pending obviously like funding being where it needs to be, we're gonna be back on set as soon as possible. The earliest I think we could be back on set is like late August. Um, so I think our window, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Noah, is probably somewhere between August and September for at least finishing episode 5, and then we have to do episode 6. I think we have one scene for episode 6 done,
Yeah, we have the
and
first
then the
scene.
rest of it.
We
Yeah.
have everything but this one fight scene in episode 5 done filming. We have the opening scene of episode 6 filmed. So it really is like we're gonna drop episode 4, and then the goal is to get as much funding as possible to potentially film more of episode 6. But it's one of those where it's just like there's episode. You think episode 3 was big, episode 6 is twice as big, and so it's
Yeah.
like it's one of those where it's like somebody said we were begging for money, and it's like no, truly, like it's very expensive to make all this props, costumes, and stuff. And when we're talking, we've been able to recycle like from episode 2 and 3. Like we recycled so many of the like outfits, like the henchmen stuff and everything. You know, we just recycled. We're bringing in a whole new group of henchmen, whole new type of henchmen, and so it's like we have to
With
essentially
new types of masks.
right, exactly. And so like we have to start from scratch on all that, and there is a lot of moving parts. There's going to be a lot of things, and it's like to like with the final fight and stuff. There's going to be a lot more intensive stunts, so we need to make sure we have the right equipment for safety and stuff like that. So it's all that stuff, which all adds up really fast. And so it's one of those where it's like truly until we like reach our funding goal, we can't shoot everything. We'll try and shoot as much as we can, but it's like we have enough right now to finish episode 5, and we will for sure finish episode 5 and post that. The goal is to get more funding on the front end because we can film more in this next block, because every block we take, it's more expensive because we have to pay for travel and all that stuff. So it's like the more we have on the front end, the more we can get done. But I think I'm confident with where we're at now after episode 5, it'll be just the finale left. And so we can get funding, but it's like, you know, the sooner the better is like the thing, because we can, in this next block, if that's the case, film half of episode 6 and then
Yeah.
just leave the final big thing that you see in the 6th episode for the final block. So
Um,
episode 4 is not 30 minutes. This was like an exceptionally long one. So episode 3 and episode 6, which are the two heaviest, will definitely be the longest. Episode 6 will be longer than episode 3 for sure. But episode
like
4,
closer to an
the
hour, I think, right?
runtime is about 16 minutes.
But it's like 16 minutes of pure
Pure
dialogue, and so
dialogue.
it's gonna feel a lot longer.
Yeah.
Like the action sequences make things feel so much more sped up. I remember like watching um the this third episode and like being like, dude, that flew by, but it's 28 minutes long. And so it'll be nice to have a little breather episode. I call it a breather episode. It's going to emotionally traumatize some people for
Yeah.
sure. But
But the thing is too, like
yeah,
even when editing, the content already is so serious and like emotionally heavy, but like in the way I edit it, I chose to leave it on long takes. So like you're forced to sit in the emotion that's in there. So it's like
hmm
2 minutes of like the trauma dumping. So
yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
gonna
How long did the opening scene end up coming out to?
opening scene is like 2 minutes. It's pretty
That's what I
brisk,
thought.
but then it transitions right into the match,
Yeah.
which is that stark jump between what was and what is crazy. So
hmm
I can't wait for you all to
So
see that.
excited. There was one other thing that I saw on here that I wanted to address, but damn it, where was this at? Um, if I find it, I'll reply to it, but if not,
Yeah,
oh well.
I've got to dip here in just a sec. So, um,
Yeah. Oh, they were asking, is Batman going to make an appearance? Or is he too busy with the Flash business? In season 1, no. Batman will not be present in season 1. If we're blessed enough to be able to do a season 2, um, Who knows? We'll see where it takes us. We'll see what the story necessitates. Um, the thing about Batman, and Noah and I have talked about this, is like you have to get that casting right. And if we don't get that casting right, we will not bring him in. There's it's just like the Joker. Like you can't have a Joker in your project if it's not stellar, you know. So the the worst thing we could do is rush a Batman into the script with and like not find somebody who's absolutely perfect for it. So you know, it's kind of just us waiting for that to happen. And as of right now, season one doesn't necessitate Batman. The loose overview that we've got for season two doesn't necessarily require Batman, but he could be fit into that picture. So we're just going to see what happens and then go from there. And then, Noah, I had a question for you. Have you announced the Johan thing that we're going to be filming or no?
No, I think it's been like loosely talked about just in the Discord server, which
Got you.
if you're watching this and aren't in there, join it because there's a lot of extra content and stuff like that in there. But it
Yeah.
hasn't been like officially announced. I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it without knowing for sure.
Yeah. Um, but there will be more content. There will be a micro spin-off is what I'll say, that we'll be filming in this next block too. It's like super short, but a look more into some more of the characters. So, um, yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna dip out, but thank you for all the questions. This is great. We'll definitely hop back on here to do it again, because there's always more questions and a million things even I would love to bring up and talk about that, about filming and all that stuff. So, yeah, check out our Indiegogo to help us continue. We, volunteer a lot of our time. There's just things that, truly we do things with as little budget as possible, like truly. So it's not like we're just asking for money. We just want to do things right as reasonably as possible. So thank you to all who have contributed. Definitely check that out. Check out our other socials. Give us a follow. And yeah, look out tonight. There's going to be a fun little promo. So it's going to be great.
So excited.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. If you're doing anything
Happy 4th
tonight
of
to
July.
celebrate, have fun. Don't get too crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
See you guys.